There isn't really a specific memory that when I think of the pregnancy center that I can really just bring up and tell you how it felt. But I know that every time that I went there, that it was the only time I was around people who were happy about my son, that talked about him as if he was this exciting thing and this blessing, and asked me about my doctor's appointments, or you know, touch my belly or say it's almost time, or anything like that. It was the only time that people didn't talk about him as if he was a burden or an obstacle or something that I had to overcome. It was the only time I felt like people could talk about my pregnancy and my baby without there being some negative connotation underneath what they were trying to say. The first time I came here was really just to get a pregnancy test for Medicaid. And while I was here, I talked to one of the client advocates and got my little bag and everything. But at that time, it seemed like everything was okay. Shortly after finding out I was pregnant, well, before the first trimester was over, things changed. My situation changed. The father of the baby decided that, you know, we started arguing a lot, and he decided that he didn't want anything to do with the situation anymore. And he moved out and stopped taking my phone calls, and we didn't hear from him. My family and friends and the people in my circle weren't really helping me or talking to me about what, you know, helping with the baby or anything like that in the beginning. And actually, after the father was no longer involved, some people hinted that I should have an abortion. Other people downright said it out loud, you know, that's something I needed to consider. And even things that, you know, it's not even a baby yet. And when they would ask me questions about what I was going to do and how I was going to pay for the baby and buy things for the baby, and I didn't have any answers, but I knew that I just couldn't do that I wanted my baby. Regardless of, you know, I thought that everything would take care of itself eventually. So I was on my own, and I was very upset, and actually I was very depressed, and my doctor actually ended up sending me to a psychiatrist and a therapist, and they put me on medication, and it was so bad that I would sleep 18 hours a day. I wouldn't leave my house or answer the phone. The medication that they put me on made me gain 90 pounds with my pregnancy, and so I was a recluse, and my therapist said that that I wasn't functioning, that I needed to get out and be around people. And so I started looking through things, and I looked through the bag that they had given me at my initial appointment, and saw that you could take some classes and get, you know, the mommy money and go and buy things for the baby. And so I decided to give it a try. Once I started coming, I had a better outlook, a better demeanor. Not to say that I all of a sudden stopped being depressed, but at least a couple of times a week, you know, there was a time I had something to look forward to, and I had people to lift me up and make me feel happier and more hopeful. And they really helped me more as a support system, more as people to be happy about my decision with my baby, and to be encouraging, and to actually give me resources and ways to meet the needs of the baby and the needs of myself. More than anything, it was the fellowship and the people, the talking to you, and you know, kind of camaraderie, and everybody's pregnant, and it's just, it was more emotional help and more kind of lifting up and encouraging, instead of, you know, see what you did a bad thing, and now you got to pay for it and be miserable your whole life, you know. Just some people's attitude about an unwanted pregnancy, instead of, you know, look at this gift, look at this, aren't you so excited, you're gonna have a brand new life, a brand new baby, and how are you feeling, and stuff like that. Where I guess that's really what going to the Pregnancy Resource Center did. It helped me emotionally, and gave me hope, gave me friends and people to talk to when I didn't have anybody. The first time that I came here to have the pregnancy test, I met with a client advocate, and she, of course, did my pregnancy test and told me that I was pregnant, which I already knew because I had taken a home test. But then she started asking me all these questions. She asked me, what did I think that the father was going to be supportive, and did I have, you know, financial means, just a bunch of questions about how people were going to react to my pregnancy, and what my plans were and how I felt about it, and you know. But when she started asking me the questions, I realized that I just assumed that I knew the answers to everything that she was saying, but I had never asked anybody, or I just assumed that everything would work out and that the father would be there and that everything would be fine. But whenever she started asking me all those questions, I realized I needed to figure out what the answers really were, what they were going to be, how was I going to support the baby, how was I going to get things for the baby, and what was going to happen, and how did the father feel. I never thought to ask him. I just assumed that he would be happy like me. And it's a good thing that I did actually get to talk to her. It started to make me think, and then I realized that by talking to her and being comfortable around her, that I could go back there. You know, even though I didn't just start going to classes and coming every week right off the bat, you know, after talking to her, she made me feel like, you know, just like I'm your friend and I'm here whenever you need me, if you need me, you know. And so whenever everything went downhill and there weren't very many options left, I remembered talking to her, and that's part of the reason why I felt comfortable coming back. I did have an ultrasound done at the pregnancy center. I got to see his heartbeat. He wasn't old enough to see the sex or anything like that at the time. It kind of just looked like a little butterfly in a bubble. But I remember when I saw him that I started crying. And I remember later when they actually did the ultrasound that found out that he was a boy, that I was
come here,
bawling all the way to the car afterward.
Come here. Come here. Come here. Lyric, look what I got.
Oh my goodness.
What, Ma?
You. And this is my handsome son, Lyric. Ah!
I don't think that's gonna work, chocolate face. Life for me and Lyric. Well, since I became pregnant with Lyric, a lot of things have changed. I'm now married to a Christian man, and he has everything I could have ever wanted, everything that everybody else was not. And he's Lyric's daddy. Lyric's biological father, you know, never materialized. And when Lyric was 18 months old, My husband came into our lives, and he's been his daddy ever since. We have 1-year-old twins together, so Lyric has a little brother and a little sister. I felt like at the center, there were so many people there that could tell me different stories, or even give me, real facts about how I could take care of my baby, and different resources that I could use. And I felt like I had hope that everything was going to work out, that one way or another, God gave me this baby, and He was always going to find a way to meet my needs and to meet His needs. And He may not tell me the whole plan right now, but my son is 3 years old, and there's never been a time when there was something he needed or that I needed that it didn't just materialize in the nick of time. And I know that's not me, and that's not other people. The Lord gave me that baby, and He gave him to me for a reason. And He wouldn't have He used the Pregnancy Resource Center as a tool to give me hope, and to plant seeds and give me information, and just to help me have a brighter outlook over what was going to happen, to give me answers so that I knew that I'd be able to take care of him. I wish that I could go back and tell that girl how things are going to be later. If you could just hold on a little while, that it's not always going to be like this. If I would have known then that things would end up like this, it wouldn't have been near as devastating. But sometimes you have to get it wrong until you get it right. And I finally did.